RampUp is known, right, as an ad tech gathering, but it's one of the better ones by far. Historically, it's all about audiences, right? LiveRamp is how you can kind of activate against audiences. Now, context is such an important part of that equation that it made so much sense for us to join in the conversation. And that's why we're here. That's why we're really leaning into.
And why do you think context has become such an important part of the discussion?
Well, I've been in context for about 8 years now, right? Before ZEFR, I used to work at Grapeshot, which was a contextual data provider as well. And I would say it's been really refreshing to see how context has gone from almost like a lost child of advertising and ad tech to just right back into the forefront, right? So I think that's one big reason, right? Everyone's starting to think about how to do their same strategies without the same type of tools at their disposal. And context is now such a powerful tool to do that.
So tell us about how contextual targeting and audience-based targeting sit together or side by side. Do brands typically invest in both in your experience, or are you preaching to slightly different constituencies?
This is a fascinating question, actually, and there's no real easy way to answer it. And over the past, I would say 6 odd years, this kind of sometimes it's a little bit of a dance between the two. There's no real good answer, but let's think about some of the ideas, right? One is this bullseye idea of having the perfect audience and the perfect context and coming together. Right? One of the problems that people experience when they try and do that really quickly is limitations of scale. And especially a few years ago when there was not only the technology to target context or audiences, but the technology in order to do it together and open up scale, right? Thresholding certain things. Now we're starting to see small tools that allow buyers to be able to kind of hit the right audience and hit the right scale and hit the right context.
So presumably to do contextual targeting at scale, you need some sort of robust way of classifying the content against which you're targeting. How do you do that?
Yeah, so there's lots of ways to do this, and one of the typical older ways of doing it was just labeling, right? Labeling as much content as you possibly can. So you'd have a huge corpus of content, be it video content or display or text content, whatever it is, and you would just append labels. The IAB is classic, right? The IAB contextual categories. We see this as a very old way of looking at things, right? My labels are probably going to be different to your labels, and ZEFR's approach is all about what do our clients think about something? I'll give you an example, right? One pharma client might see a piece of content, a video on YouTube, as a health and wellness piece of content. Another pharma client might see that as not appropriate for that brand, right? Just because maybe it's more about holistic healthcare. And so everything is truly in the eye of the beholder. What ZEFR believes is how do we empower our eyes, right? Our clients' eyes, so that they can classify content in a way that matters to them, rather than what matters to the IAB or matters to some other third party.
And how do you do that at scale?
Yeah, it's actually a problem that we've invested a tremendous amount of money in over the past 3 years. Our first actual stab at this was it was pretty fascinating. One of the things that you kind of need are opinions of content, right, from the client, right? If I'm trying to create a client's classification, I need their opinions. The first thing we thought was, okay, let's see if we can get clients to review large quantities of media so that they can just kind of understand. So we'd go to a client and say, hey, take a look at these videos, what do you think? And they're like, wait, I don't want to look at thousands of videos or even hundreds of videos. I just want to tell you what I think one time, and then can you go and do that? So we had to think about how can we solve that problem of reviewing large numbers of media on behalf of a client that has small amounts of time. We feel like we've kind of got a really, really elegant solution in the works now. So to kind of break it down, one of a really interesting way that we do it is we work with the client, right, to kind of subjectively understand what their opinions are, not on individual pieces of media, but generally, right? So for my pharmaceutical example, this client and this particular brand of the client doesn't feel homeopathic or traditional medicines is an acceptable piece of content, right? They're looking for more science-based content. So we understand that. Our account management teams, our AE teams collect that information, and then we have an internal team that design questions in order to scale that to a large number of reviewers. And the questions have to be simple, right? I can't ask a layman, so to speak, complex questions. So we designed a way to kind of scale these questions and then scale the reviews of hundreds of thousands of videos on behalf of this one brand. To date, we've done probably over 5 million reviews for individual brands of videos, right? And not against like basic concepts like brand safety, against complex concepts like what a brand wants to be around. So it's pretty exciting. Once we capture those, let's say 1 million reviews or a couple 100,000 reviews, how do we scale that across a corpus of large millions in YouTube's world, billions of videos? We use machine learning and AI. We call it human in the loop system, where we review videos, we scale the review, we check the scaled reviews, and then we score against all the videos. And then we threshold based on what brands want and how comfortable they are against, let's call it scale.
Last quick question. You obviously are quite closely integrated with YouTube. Mm-hmm. You have a relationship with them. How are the brand safety issues looking today? Have these problems been solved?
Fantastic question, actually. So like I would say, it depends kind of how you look at it, right? We believe the platforms have actually done quite a commendable job of, I don't want to say solving brand safety, but tackling it as best as we can today. It's actually quite famous that YouTube and Facebook employ third parties to review manually, right? Human review millions of videos, right? Which kind of goes to speak that human review is an integral part of this process, such a complex problem. Now we've kind of moved more to a brand suitability world, something that ZEFR's kind of been talking about for a while, but I think the greater market has really leaned in finally. And that means not just saying whether or not this piece of content is about something that's toxic to every brand and potentially every person, but whether or not this piece of content is relevant to this particular product or this particular niche. I think it's going to be brand safety and brand suitability generally will be an ongoing problem that many people will have to solve. But we're excited where the platforms have put a lot of investment. They certainly didn't take it lightly.